that we didn't do something that was medically necessary. They can try, but your chart notes don't lie. If you did physical and you hit the points you needed to, you're managing medications, and you're ordering the appropriate lab tests, what's to argue? And you need to remember that not all of our services fall into this CPT insurance world paradigm. You get a non-covered service waiver, and you do what you and your patient need to do in order to accomplish optimal wellness. May not be what patients want. Patients want us to fit everything into their insurance benefits so that they don't have to pay anything out of pocket. And while that would be wonderful, that's a fabulous world to want and to work toward, it's not the one that we're in right now. And so certain things like the allergy testing or intolerance testing, what else? B12 injections when they're not technically B12 deficient per a lab test, or some of the injections we'll talk about next week, they're just not going to get covered. They're considered investigational by the insurance companies. They're going to have to pay cash for it. And honestly, if you are an insurance credentialed or contracted doc, having some cash services is a good way to make up for some of those write-offs that we're going to inevitably be stuck with. A non-covered service waiver, if you look in your contracts again, you will see that there's usually a clause saying anything that a patient is paying for out of pocket, you need to have in writing an agreement that they understand why they're paying for it out of pocket and that they're okay with that. So you basically, the gist of a non-covered service waiver would be, we're going to do a series of 6 B12 injections. It should cost about this much money, and it's not covered because vitamin therapy is not considered medically necessary. Patient signs, you countersign, and then it's all good as far as the insurance company is concerned, and the patient can't go back and complain they paid for something out of pocket, and then the insurance company makes you pay the patient back, and you can't bill the insurance company, so you're just out the money. And this is not the same thing as a single financial responsibility form for people to sign. This has to be per non-covered service. So if you're going to do allergy testing, that would be one waiver. If you do B12 injections, that's another waiver. So anytime a patient's paying for something out of pocket expressly for a given service, then they need to have a specific non-covered service waiver for that item. So this is that bell curve that I was alluding to. At the end of the presentation, I actually have a link. There's a website that you can actually go to and plug your numbers into and see where you fall compared to the national averages for different codes. So here, I just totally made this up off of the top of my head, but I think it's probably pretty accurate if I actually pulled my codes from my software program. But in the first column, you'll see up the y-axis is percent. So the percent of billing up to 50%, and then across our X is new patient visits. So the green is my FOCs, my 99202s and 203s. The blue is the national average for the FOCs. Yellow is my return office calls, and the gray is the national average for what percentage are at a certain code. So as you'll very clearly see, 99203, 213, 204s, and 214s are the vast majority of both my billings and the national average. So this is the bell curve that insurance companies are kind of looking at to see if you're doing about what every other practitioner is doing in your area. If yours is